My name is Marcus Josey. I'm from York, Pennsylvania, and this is my story about how I got diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. I woke up and I went to school. It was just like any other ordinary day. When I got to school that day, I got a call from the guidance counselor. They called me down to the guidance office, and when I got to the guidance office, the guidance counselor handed me a letter, and I read the letter and I realized that it was from the head football coach of Harvard University, and it was explaining that I was in the final stages of recruitment for the Harvard football team, and they were asking for my SAT scores, my ACT scores, and my final transcripts. And really, I'd worked my whole entire life to be a part of the Harvard football team. It was one of my goals from when I was really young, so I was extremely excited. And I sent that letter. I took a picture of that letter and I sent it to my mom and my dad. And I was like, look guys, like I finally made it. And they're both teachers, so they weren't able to see the letter right away. And so I went back to class after I got the letter, and I found out in that class that there was going to be an assembly for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And so I went to the assembly, and I wasn't paying much attention during the assembly, but then during the assembly they started to say the signs and the symptoms of leukemia, and that's when I started to pay attention, because for about 4 weeks prior to that assembly, I'd been experiencing strange symptoms like back pain and nosebleeds that would last for hours, and I was always tired. And I started to pay attention during that assembly because the same symptoms that I'd been experiencing for 4 weeks prior to the assembly were the same symptoms that they were saying on that stage. So once I realized the correlation between the two, I took out my phone and I searched the signs and the symptoms of leukemia, and I had 8 of the 10 symptoms that came up on that Google search. So from there I took a screenshot of that Google search and I sent it to my mom and my dad again, and I said, Mom and Dad, I think I have leukemia and I need to get blood work done. And like I said, they're both teachers, so they weren't able to see the first message about the Harvard letter and the Harvard recruitment. So they're in for a pretty rude awakening when they saw that Harvard letter followed by, I think I have leukemia, from their son. But yeah, the assembly went on, and I went to my next period class, and then before the class even started, my nose started bleeding, which is a sign of leukemia. And that was my 4th nosebleed that week, so we knew something was wrong. I went to the nurse's office, and right away they sent me to the ER, and I got to the emergency room, and I told the lady who was checking me in that I thought I had leukemia and that I needed blood work done. They took blood work, and about 3 hours after they took the blood work, they told me that I was right and that I had leukemia. And ever since that day, I've been getting treated for acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And you know, in the beginning, it's a rush. You know, you really don't know what's going on at the moment, and there's a lot of things going through your head, especially my head, because I'm a teenager and I was in my, at the time, junior year of high school, at the end of my junior year of high school, and I had football and school to worry about. Now I just got thrown into the diagnosis of leukemia, and my mind was all over the place. And it really didn't catch up to me until about 3 months after diagnosis, and that's when I really started getting depressed about the whole situation, and feeling sorry for myself and being sad. And that lasted for a couple months, but then about in January I was asked to speak at a school for a mini-thon, which is it's an event where schools have a dance marathon to raise money for pediatric cancer that goes towards my hospital that I'm treated at, and I was asked to speak at a mini-thon. And I spoke at one of the mini-thons, and after I spoke there, I kept speaking at these mini-thons. People kept asking me to speak at these mini-thons, and it was really therapeutic for me. And once I noticed that, it helped me get through what I was going through. I couldn't stop speaking and telling my story. And I was actually asked to be the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Boy of the Year. And again, that also helped me get through the trouble of being diagnosed with leukemia. One thing that I would recommend to young adults who are diagnosed with cancer is don't be afraid to tell your story, because for myself it was very therapeutic. And just don't be afraid to tell people what you're going through, because some people might seem like they're afraid of cancer or afraid of hearing about cancer, but really they really just don't know what's going on. They're ignorant to the situation. So don't be afraid to tell your story.